Welcome to the Slice Tennis Podcast. We got Steven here. We got me, JP here. And something else that's also here is the Australian Open. Tennis season is officially back with the first Grand Slam of the year going down under. And this show, of course, is presented by Betway. And today's show, we're pretty much just going to be giving you, we're gonna take a little vibe check on the Australian Open. There's been a lot of different headlines going on. Kyrgios losing, jumping ants, making people not want to get into the drug testing because they might get caught. Andy Murray, courtside, coaching, a whole bunch of stuff's going on. So we're going to get into all of that. And then we are also, from the top of the show, y'all know I got to have you leave a comment underneath. I want to know, Steven, you might have something else for him too. But I want to know what player you guys want to see win a major this year that's not named Alcaraz or Sinner, just any major. I know I did last time, just Australian Open, but y'all tell me somebody you'd like to see win one this year. But, Steven, I don't know if you've got anything.
Well, I'm excited, JP, after we touch on our weeks and the best bet of the day, I'm excited to check in on our power rankings. Because I know I believe all of our players are still alive, at least for the men. And but we can check in on like how we're feeling about it based on the performances that they've maybe shown so far.
I love it. And yeah, but before we get there, the week. How were we?
The week. What was last week? I don't know. I've kind of been preparing to, we were getting out a lot of content before the Australian Open started. So there's kind of been a lot of that prep work for this tournament, and then just kind of adjusting your schedule to watching tennis down under from the Pacific or the west side of North America.
Started with
Felix. Sorry?
You were watching with Shep.
Exactly. I was watching with Shep. I put the picture there, but Nicole, and it's smart to probably not let the baby like watch TV at this young. So that was like more like a stunt. I was waiting for someone to like get mad at me in the comments, and I was gonna like go Twitter fingers on them. But yeah, so the good lead up to this, obviously, as a Canadian show, a Canadian founded show, Canadian American co-hosted, Felix Auger-Aliassime was doing great in Adelaide and ended up winning the tournament at the expense of 3 different Americans. Sad to say. But I was up late watching those matches, and some of them were like, we can get into it later, but some of them were like they were not high quality matches, which was funny. Like when Felix played Tommy Paul, that's got to be some of the worst tennis that I've seen either of those guys play in a long time. And it was funny because it was just like it was like a pill fight out there. Like really, like they're like who can give this match away first. And it took a long time. So I stayed up to like 2 a.m. watching it. Glad for me that Felix won. I like Tommy though. I like obviously his coach Brad Stein we're tight with. So bit of a family fight there, but that was funny. And now we're into the Australian Open. So my sleep schedule is already just warped. I'm already tired. Last night was rough. It's just part of, I've been doing this for like 8 years in a row now. So it's part of the tradition, I would say, of this time of year.
Yeah, I can imagine it's tough. And it's not like you have the greatest sleep schedule anyways right now with the baby.
Yeah.
But
although he is the legend, he slept almost like 11 and a half hours last night with one wake up. And I went to bed so late. I was asleep so hardcore. It was like a meme in the morning. I was like, hey, he didn't even wake up last night at all. And then my wife's like, no, yeah, he did. I woke up with him, fed him, changed him, and came back to bed. But you just slept through it. So I was like, respect. Dude. I was like, hey, it's a 2-person effort during the Australian Open, baby.
Right.
But Chef's been great. And then, but my question to you is, so you're Central Time, you're 2 hours ahead. Like these prime time matches, I guess they start at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. your time.
Correct.
So do you go to bed and then wake up?
Yeah.
Or do you stay up?
I go to bed and then wake up. Like it's tough for me because like this week I'm traveling. I'm going to Chicago tomorrow.
Right.
And then I'll be back Wednesday. And then there's a college basketball game I'll have to go to at night because South Carolina's in town. So we're doing some stuff with them. Then I'm going to Charleston on Friday and then Atlanta probably on Sunday. So it's like I'm all over the place. I just get it in when I can.
Yeah.
And it's nice too because during the day when obviously nobody is playing, I can try to go back and kind of like watch and keep up with everything.
But like,
So
and I to be fair, to be clear to a lot of fans, I don't stay up every night to watch the matches. I don't, and like I didn't finish the Djokovic one. I didn't finish like a bunch of them. But then as the tournament, like for the semifinals and the final, which is on the weekend, usually I'm always like I'm gonna stay up. And I just
staying up.
for us on the East Coast or on the West Coast, I can't like I've done it before where I go to sleep and then wake up and then go
Yeah.
back to sleep. I've also done it where I just stay up all night long. Like this is a funny story, and then I want to hear about your week. Federer winning the Australian Open 2017. I stayed
Mm.
up for that one. I was in college, and then I was serving at my church the next morning, so early. So I had to be there at like 7 a.m. or
You're like,
something.
Steven had a late night last night.
I didn't know how I was gonna go. It obviously went 5 sets, 5 hours. Literally, the match ended at 6, and I just got showered and just drove to the church and just was like on the setup crew. Just didn't sleep at all, which was to me crazy.
You
But I
had
was
to
in the
go,
greatest
thank
mood.
God.
I was in the greatest mood ever. Like it didn't matter at all. I was like, Federer just won, come from behind in the 5th set. Let's go. So that was like
Yeah.
a core memory for me.
No, dude, I love it. It is fun. I like, and for the final, I would definitely stay up, not go to bed,
Okay.
and then wake back up. So, I mean, I'm down. If we need to do a little watch along,
Yeah, we'll
I'm
see
in.
if it's Felix versus Carlitos, we will be. Um,
Imagine.
but JP, how was your week? How's your week been?
The week was good. We had a actual legit snow day this time around. So
Yes.
your boy got out there on the sled. I built a little snowman. I tried to host a snowman competition in Nashville. When I was driving around, I was taking photos of all the snowmen, and then I was going to take it to Twitter and let the people decide, but
Yeah.
ended up only getting like 7 or 8 snowmen photographed, which kind of bothered me about the residents of Nashville. I'm like, "Hey guys, what are we doing?" Like
Got you
it's
bummed
a
out.
I mean, it should be mandatory. Like there's 5 non-negotiables on a snow day. You go sledding, you throw a snowball at a friend and hit him. You cannot end on a miss. You build a snowman, eat soup or some kind of like hot something, and then you watch a long TV show or a movie. 5 non-negotiables. I felt like Nashville did not hold up their end of the bargain. I did my part. I was sledding the next day on grass, sledding in the South.
I
But
saw that. That was crazy. I saw you and sit and wait. So that hill from the camera, it looked like you guys were literally just gonna slide into traffic.
hey, that hill is the best sledding hill I think I've ever been on. And it does. And like when there is no snow, and we went straight from church, so we're just in our church clothes. And the only way to stop, we had no gloves, no nothing, was just to like kind of dig your feet in or put your
Yeah.
hand on and just kind of like grit through it.
Yeah.
And you saw we went all the way to the sidewalk almost. So we made it out alive.
You guys are hardcore. Fun family to be around for sure.
Yeah. So that was pretty much my week. That was the best parts of it. And then let's see. I got featured on Bleacher Report's story last night. That was fun. I was tweeting about
And
the NFL games going on, NFL playoffs, threw out a tweet
yes.
out there. Next thing I know, getting these notifications on Instagram. Hey, they shouted you out. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And the last one for you is actually there was this baby at church. this little man had me rolling. He was farting like crazy right behind me, and he let out like a huge one. And I felt like me and his dad were the only ones that were laughing. And I'm a I'm a liability in church when like a little kid is doing something funny around me because I'll just get the giggles, like can't stop laughing. And he let the
Yeah.
last one go, and I was like, I almost had to leave. So it was great. It was a great service.
That's a great. I've been there before when you and your buddy like are thinking about something funny and like if you just like look at each other, you'll burst out laughing. It's like the
You
worst, but
can't
the
stop.
best. Yeah, that is
So
funny.
no, it is the best. And speaking of best, we do have our best bet of the day presented by Betway. It's a new year, new opportunities to not take advantage of the sports book because we do love Betway, but we do feel like we are well studied, well versed
Mhm,
on these bets.
mm,
So
mhm.
y'all know the deal. What I got to hear right now, hit it ace with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses, plus 50 bonus spins, no matter the result. There's literally no reason not to sign up, even if you've never gambled, because this
Yeah,
deal is legitimately free money. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers only, so tell your friends. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Ontario, and you must be 18 and up to play. Please play responsibly. Mr. Responsible,
That's
Steven.
right. Man, I got the
What are we
one here that
looking at?
I'm looking at Jack Draper versus Tanasi Kokonakis. Couple friends of the show, couple big boys. You know, we got the British Australian clash going there, and there's some jokes about this one because Jack Draper's the higher ranked player, but they've actually both got kind of a similar game in a way, and they are both, big stars, and they both had really grueling first rounds. So this would be their
Right.
second round match. So the joke I saw on Twitter was like, who's Jack Draper and Tanasi Kokonakis are seeing who's going to retire first. So I was getting some calls coming in here. So because I think they're both like hurting from their match. So, and they're both kind of
Right.
like known for getting injured. So, if the match doesn't happen, then you'll get refunded. So what I was thinking of a best bet would be the total sets. So total sets at 3.5. There's zero
I love
chance
it.
that this will be a straight set match. Yeah, I'm this. You know how people say it's not financial advice. This is financial advice.
Responsible.
The at 3.5, they have the over under, and the over, which is going to be what happens, I'm sure of it, is that they only have it at minus 182. But that's like if you bet $1, you take home $1.50. So I just think sometimes when you're sports betting, there's times just to take free money. And I think this is as close as you're going to get to free money. So I just put that on
Right.
there. I'm speaking with my wallet. Yeah.
And it's kind of like the number one gamblers in the world are not the guys that take the crazy ones. They take these ones, but they put like $50,000 on it because they'll win $25,000.
Yeah.
So it's like you put 100, you win 50, whatever it is. So
I mean, Jack Draper could routine Tanasi. That could happen in 3 sets,
right.
but with the Australian crowd behind Tanasi, and he's like their guy left, like he's got way more like swagger than like, no offense, Alex de Minaur. Like he's kind of like one of the Australian bad boys, and they love getting behind their Australian bad boys. I just think that's going to be a battle if it happens, and it'll probably be a bit of a pillow fight as well.
Yeah, and even just moving forward for the bets, like taking the set bets, I think is the best move because a lot of times I feel like when you see the matchups, you have a pretty good idea of if it's going to be straight sets or not, especially in a major. So something for all of you guys to keep your eyes on if you're out there in the tennis gambling world, use Betway and also pay attention to the sets because there's a lot of value there if you just pay a little bit of attention.
Pay a little
That's
bit
our
of
best
attention.
bet of the day.
That's right. That's right, man. So Australian Open vibe check. We're doing one of these. How's the vibes?
We are.
What's going on down under?
The first thing that hit my finger when I did this was maybe I felt a little prick. There might have been a jumping ant that got me. And that was probably the most Australian headline I've ever seen, seeing Emma Raducanu talk about she didn't want to treat the jumping ant bites because she didn't want to fail a drug test. But there's kind of like a lot to unpack there because Australia, you live there. Did you ever have any run-ins with any of these crazy animals?
Well, yeah. When I was living in Australia, we had cockroaches in the house. Which, have you ever seen a cockroach?
Oh, brother. Yes.
Wait, do they have cockroaches in Tennessee?
Look, man, in South Carolina, I'll give you a quick story. I know the people want to hear tennis, but anybody that knows about cockroaches, you'll laugh at this. And I may have already even said this story one time. I can't remember, but one of my roommates in college, he was a little dirty. He was grimy, and he moved in with us, and he brought, unbeknownst to us, roaches to our apartment. And so it was becoming a little bit of a problem. I come home one day and I see 2 roaches flipped on their back on purpose. And I'm like, it looked on purpose. I'm like, yo, Jackson, what's going on here? He's like, no, we got to send a message. I was like, you flip. He goes, because next time a cockroach walks in here, I want him to know what's going to happen to him when he steps foot in this room. This is there shouldn't be a war. We should have ended this war already. So, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm with the cockroaches.
Yeah, no, you would think, but to Emma's defense, like a jumping ant is probably like the least bad thing that could get you down there. Like there's a zillion ways to die, as we said in Australia. Although once you're in the cities, like it does feel pretty modern. Like you're not
Yeah.
it does there's not going to be like a kangaroo bouncing down the main street of Melbourne.
You know they're strong swimmers.
The kangaroos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. And my favorite thing, the kangaroos are crazy. I've seen this one video. Have you seen video of the guy who the kangaroos like got this dog by his like fist?
Yeah.
He's like about
It's
to
like
kill him. The guy's owner
boxing
runs out
him.
there and just like boxes him.
So funny.
It's the best thing ever. Like these Aussie guys are so funny. I remember, and there's another one where this like guy's dog was getting like attacked by a crocodile thing, and the guy went down there and like whacked the crocodile and got him to let go of the dog, and then he's walking back with the two dogs running beside him. He's like, what were you doing down playing by the water, mate? And he looks over the other dog. He's like, and you, what were you gonna do? Were you just gonna sit there and watch him get eaten? It's
So
like
funny.
they have the best sense of humor. It's just a great country.
They do, man. But with I mean, I don't know how true it was. Her not wanting to get like the antibiotic or whatever.
I got the article here. You know, this is from
Yeah.
Sky News. So Emma Raducanu refuses to treat insect bites at Australian Open over doping test fears. The 22-year-old British tennis star said a hand and ankle swelled up, but she refused to use an antiseptic spray that an Italian trainer gave her. I'm just kidding. I added that. That an antiseptic spray in case contamination led to a positive doping test. Now, like, that is crazy. Imagine if that actually did lead to a doping. Like, it would be like, she'd have to be like, guys, you're never going to believe this.
Right. There was these ants.
You're never going to believe this. But similar to Sinner, I had an Italian physio come and give me a spray after I got bitten by jumping ants in Australia. And that's how I tested positive.
I just don't know how nobody in the tennis world, just like whoever is high up and wants to be a face of something, like comes out and says like, all right, I know everybody's looking for some transparency and a line. Maybe here's a line. Here's where we can all start. If you get bit by a jumping ant, hey guys, you are allowed to use this spray. And just
it's just like this list
that.
of arbitrary rules. Like all the players have to hire. Like, I mean, it already looks at that. I've looked at the documents from ITIA,
Yeah.
and it already seems like that. They're like, if you grew up and were in 4th grade with this player, and then you make a betting prediction online, then they could be liable as being influenced. And you're like, what the? So it's already like that. They might as well just they should make some carve outs for jumping ants, because those little guys can get everywhere, I think.
I know. Imagine if they get on the courts. Not good. The only guy that maybe survive is Djokovic because he's strong. He's not immunized. So, which, by the way, did you see any of Djokovic's interview with GQ or whoever it was?
Yes, about him getting his food poisoning.
Okay, yeah, and that's wild. But the crazier thing to me, because there's no real way to like check that.
Yeah.
But when they gave him, when he was explaining, like they gave him that sheet and they were like, hey, you have 60 points. Choose which items you want to have. So he like checks off the boxes of like toothbrush, like shampoo, soap, hands it over, and then they hand it back to him. Oh, sorry, no, you actually only have 30 points. I'm like, what kind of like jail detention center is this? Like, build your best survival kit. Here's 30 points. Like,
well, wasn't it like that? It is like another one of those stories that you're like, was that reality? Like he was held in a quarantine camp, like whatever that means.
right.
We have no clue. They're like, here's 30 points. You get like, which limbs do you want to keep? We're gonna chop some off.
It literally reminds me of when you see those graphics. They'll be like, build your best tennis player. You have $20. And on the $5 row, there's say Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. $4 row is whoever. And it's like, build the best player. And that's what it reminded me of. I'm like, this is insane.
That is insane. It's like essentially it sounds like it could have turned into like Squid Games. Like all of a sudden it's like, hey,
literally
go solve this Rubik's Cube. He's like, dude, I'm supposed to be playing in the Australian Open and I'm getting like sniped out here.
Yeah.
Uh, that was crazy. And then he's like, "Yeah, I got I had all this like higher level of all these hard metals in my system." And when I saw that, I was like, "Yo, you're one of the healthiest guys in the world. So you probably just had like regular person levels of all this stuff." And you're like, "I've been poisoned."
Right. Hey, hey, Novak, here's some eggs and toast. And then all of a sudden his body just has a crazy
Yeah.
reaction to it.
He sees the gluten. He's like, "No." And he's
Ah,
like, they're like, "Bro, this is jail. You don't get to decide what you're eating."
yeah, man. Hey, but Djokovic continued to make the headlines. So how do we feel about seeing Andy Murray on the court side?
I mean, yeah, seeing Andy, like we've all been talking about, seeing Andy Murray courtside coaching Novak Djokovic, being able to talk to him during the match is just a scenario that if you told any of us, even like a year and a half ago, but especially like 10 years ago, hey, that's going to happen, you would just never believe that. Like, that's just,
Simulation.
yeah, total simulation. You're like, is this just a total PR stunt? Why is he on the court? Why are they allowed to talk? He's literally playing this like 20-year-old from the US who's just trying to put in a good match, which he did do. Bezvatarati did a great job. But then he's got Djokovic over there getting on court tips from Andy Murray. He's like, bro, this is literally 27 majors versus 0 here. How is this fair? Just an insane scene.
They have more I mean, Djokovic alone has more majors than years that Basvarati has lived.
Exactly. Like, how is he supposed to compete?
Who would you want? I feel like I probably know the answer, but if you were a tennis player, which former player would you want coaching you? And
Oh,
are
yeah.
you sure you would want it to be Federer?
I want it to be Federer and Nadal sitting there because I don't know if have you ever seen this clip at the Laver Cup with
Yes.
Zverev and
Yes.
they like he goes into like a washing break. That's one of my all-time favorite things. I forget exactly how Nadal says it. He's like like Federer's like he's like this is pardon my French, but he's coming and Zverev's whining, complaining, and bitching after every like point he loses, and then Federer's just like I want to hear none of this stuff. He's like, you just be paused. And then Nadal just chimes in. He's like, yes, no one more negative thing.
Bro,
Like,
Nadal's voice will always trip me out.
no one more negative thing. He's like, they're just like, don't be a bitch. Like, just get back out there. And like, I need someone to tell me that when I'm playing. Like, and if it was coming from Federer and Nadal, I'd be like, yes, sir.
But you got to pick one.
Yeah, then Federer, because I think he's just a smarter tactician.
But think about what I would worry about with him is like I would look at him and be like, no, like you don't understand. Like I can't play like you.
You're telling me to hit this shot. That's not an option for me.
Right. So that's where my reservation would be with picking him is just like, all right, bro, like, yeah, you don't get it. Like
Yeah.
you play at a different level than everyone else. You don't sweat. You don't get mad. So get out of my face.
Yeah, that's funny. No, that's a good point. But to be fair, Nadal would just be like, because like I've heard how Tony Nadal talks about coaching, which is a great. He's
Yeah.
like, I asked Tony Nadal one time. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was actually a cameo appearance in uh what is it called?
Breakpoint.
The Netflix Breakpoint. Yeah.
Breakpoint.
So in the episode with Felix Auger-Aliassime, there's a point. That's back when Tony Nadal was working with him. There's like a shot from across the court of Tony just talking to these reporters. And anyways, I'm one of them. I'm wearing like a fedora. You would never. If you go back and you're bored tonight, it'll blow your mind. But I talked to him. I was like, how does Felix? Yeah, we were talking about his game, and he's like, yes, he's like, I talked to Felix. He's like, he needs to play on the clay. If you play just here, no one has the problem. He needs to play higher. I'm like, higher. He's like, yes, higher. Like keep the ball high out of the strike zone. He's like, just higher. He just kept saying that. So I feel like if you had Nadal on your team, he'd be like, just grind. He'd be
Right.
like, also his English isn't that great, which is hilarious. So I would probably lose it a bit, but
True.
he'd be like, just play, just like spin the ball over the guy's head. You're like, I don't have like that. You're talking to a mortal here. Like you're
Right.
But yeah, maybe his advice would be more, a bit more relevant, where it's like just grind, don't be a bitch, like be positive.
Yeah.
And Federer would be like, just come to the net and rush him, and you're like, bro, that's like not an option.
I know. I feel like I would want Djokovic to coach me. I know he's still playing, but I feel like my personality would mesh well with his coaching style, how I imagine his coaching style to be.
I wonder what his coaching style would be like, because he's like yelling at his coach, and he kind of started to get a little bit annoyed towards his box yesterday, which I loved. because I was thinking like, like how would he handle getting yelled at? I was like, would you yell at Djokovic just to give him a little taste of his own medicine?
Man, if I was his coach, I mean, for those guys, it seems like they keep a lot
So
of
if
the
he was
same
your
people
coach, like
around.
you're playing and you're losing, and you're just like freaking out at you, like, give me
Oh,
something.
yeah, he's for sure catching like some unintentional emotion from me. 'Cause it would be like when Al Dennis is always yelling at his box
Yeah.
or, like, complaining up to him, especially if it's Djokovic, like, looking at him would probably make me more mad of, like, just, like, again, same with Federer, like, "You don't get it." But I feel like Djokovic would be like, "I know I don't get it. That's because you suck. So this is what you need to do to get better."
He would
It's like,
yell. I
"Alright."
think Djokovic would be the coach that's like yelling at his player, like, "Get on these!" Like, he's like, "Come on!" Like, because like
Yeah,
you see
oh my
Nadal's uncle and his dad, they're all like yelling because they're just Spanish, right? So they're always just yelling about random stuff,
right.
and it's hilarious. Like I remember when Nadal was like suffering in a Wimbledon match, and they're like, "Coffee!" They're like, "Drink coffee!" And then his sister's like, "Cafe!" And they're just all like screaming across the court at him.
Which wasn't there a coffee, wasn't there like a coffee issue? Was it already this year or was it Medvedev in another year where he was asking for coffee and they were like, "We don't have coffee." And he's like, just starts going insane off of it.
Oh,
You have
I'm sure. I think I remember that, and, like, yeah, Medvedev would go insane about that, yeah.
yeah, which also probably need to clear the air for Medvedev because people were kinda hating on him. We don't need to clear it for him, it's already been cleared. People were hating on him like, "Where's Medvedev been? He hasn't played any tournaments up to the Australian Open." Then he just drops the photo with a newborn baby, and he's like, "Happy New
Yeah,
Year." I'm like, "Yeah, everybody needs to
yeah.
shut up and get off his back."
Were you seeing you were seeing some Medvedev questioning out there? They're like, "Where is he?"
Yes, dude. They were like, "He doesn't even care anymore." Like, he didn't
Right,
wanna be at the ATP finals. He doesn't wanna play these tournaments before
right.
Australian Open. Like, "Alright,
He's
yeah,
like, "Sorry,
see."
I'm winning." I said that's what I said. I said, "Medvedev keeps winning, man, having the kids," and I think he's a real big sleeper here at this tournament. Like, he's
Big
a
time.
guy. Like, I think you do get extra powers when you have kids. Like, I'm looking forward to
Right,
when you have a kid, you're just like the stakes just go up. So, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
right.
Uh, and yeah, he's the 5th seed, so he's not like they don't, all the drawback sounds that everyone does, it goes by quarter. So it's like Djokovic's quarter. Well, it'd be like Alcaraz's quarter, etc. So Medvedev doesn't have his own quarter, but he is in the center quarter. Um,
Yeah,
I believe. Or no, no, he's in the Fritz quarter, actually, which is great for Medvedev because if those
great
guys
for him.
played, I'm taking Medvedev. Just
Yeah,
no
I'm
offense.
taking Fritz.
Yeah, fair enough. Which we'll get into. We do want to talk about the US players and the Canadian players, but let's do a quick check-in on our power rankings and how we're feeling about them because we actually
Yeah.
did them bravely. We did them before the draw came out, which I thought was brave of us. Like people
I'm
maybe don't
even more confident now.
really. So to clear it up for people, JP's on the men's. I forget your women's. Maybe you can remind me. JP's top 5 picks to win the Australian Open in order were 1 Alcaraz, 2 Sinner, 3 Demon Hour, 4 Djokovic, 5 Fritz. How are you
God,
feeling about that?
I mean, you reading it out, I know in your head, you're probably thinking, "Man, JP really didn't miss." So,
To
I'm
be fair,
feeling
it is hard to
great.
miss it after round 1.
Hey, I love seeing Nico Jerry he played great against Sinner. And I know it was straight sets, but 2 tie breaks, and and I feel like Sinner is starting to feel a little bit of pressure with some of this stuff looming over him. It would be hard not to. And so I
It
feel
would.
like he's vulnerable. And so that's why I'm feeling good about all my other guys out there. My girls, I had Coco Gauff, Sabalenka, Zhang, uh, Swiatek, and Raducanu. So,
Yeah, and they're all still alive. So
yeah,
none of our picks have lost.
right. Still undefeated. Still loving the dark horses out there. On my dark horse list here, I got Nuno Borges and João Fonseca and Dennis, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah,
Fonseca, Sinner says he believes he'll finish top 25 this year, which is big.
I think someone else said he'd finish top 10, which
Mm,
I mean, it gets me thinking like so much of this game is confidence, like Tsitsipas being like the great example of that. So you're like, if you just keep winning, He's a young guy. You're like, all I know is winning. I am a winner. That's where Alcaraz is at, right? Like he's just like
Exactly. And they play more
I
free
am
too.
a winner. Yeah. So I can see him doing that, but that'll be interesting. But from your top 5 guys, the only ones that haven't played are so Fritz hasn't played yet and Demonar hasn't played yet.
Correct.
So fair enough. I guess I'm the same. It's more of a vibe check because it's pretty obvious that none of these guys would lose yet. But Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, Zverev, Medvedev. Like I said, I like Medvedev on there. Zverev looked like he played very well.
Yep.
Straight sets. Djokovic played good. But not good enough where I'm like was going to put him above Sinner or Alcaraz. To be fair, like he was struggling against Bezvatarati, who is a great player, but there's levels.
Fun fact. Well, I don't. This might even need to be fact checked because when I was looking up Bezvarati's name, and it looks like he's got a brother out there.
Well, yeah, I think he was in his box.
Yeah, so his career. This was insane, and I'm gonna get the exact number correctly because I'm like, why did y'all even put this man's profile on here? His prize money. You want to take a guess at his brother's prize money?
Wait, Nishesh's brother?
Nishesh's brother, Nishanth.
Nishesh and Nishanth.
Yes.
Nice. He's a pro player as well?
Kind of.
What's his prize money?
$90. I'm like, why y'all even put that on there?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, that's like he probably was like a doubles player,
right?
Partner with him at some futures event in the first round or something, and they lost.
It says crazy. Plays unknown and then unknown backhand.
They don't even know. That's rough. That is funny, but maybe he just like paid them off to get like a profile.
Kind of
He's like, hey, I just want to be in the system. Who's speaking of prize money? You know who's killing it this year in prize money? Might have the most prize money on tour right now.
Taylor Fritz.
Felix Auger-Aliassime. Oh, it's probably Taylor Fritz. I don't know, but I was just looking at Felix's because I was looking up his win-loss record on the year, which, by the way, is 5-1. Very nice.
Come on.
Two tournaments played. $228,000 made in the first 12 days of the year. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like kind of on that same path with the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for this crypto to hit. Should be bouncing up.
Well, what are we paying you per hour here at the Slice? Like 20,000 an hour. So those payments should start hitting soon. I don't know.
Yeah, but I deferred it to the back the back half of the year.
There might be some I've heard there's some issues with our banking on the back end, so they should make it do like they should.
Canadian to U.S. bank, even though I have TD Bank, I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, how much did you say Felix made?
228,000.
Bro, United Cup paying fat money. Fritz, $864K.
That ain't right. That is literally not right. Where does that money come from?
United Cup, dude.
Did you see the crowds there at the United Cup?
I know, but I on Twitter, all I was seeing was like, oh, now I see why people play United Cup, and they just kept bringing up Taylor Fritz.
For sure. I mean, that's insane. Like he lost to Felix, and then I guess he won. He obviously won other matches, but that's an insane amount of money. And Felix won a tournament after that. They played the United Cup. You get money for playing, but then he won in Auckland. But his prize money in Auckland would have been only like, I think probably less than 100,000 for the time. So yeah, the United Cup plays dummy money. But the ATP, I don't know where the ATP gets all this money because again, like 20% of the total revenue in the tennis is from the ATP stuff. So
right.
And now they're paying players, anyone in the top 100 gets 300 grand guaranteed. I don't know if that's like if you make less than 300, you get 300. Like if you're injured for the whole year and you have a protected ranking, you get 300 as baseline. Like if you make 2 million, are they still going to give you another 300 just to make sure I kind of doubt that, but
yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it is anyways, maybe the ATP is going to go bankrupt. I don't know, but these players are making coin and it's funny when they complain about they're not getting enough. It's like
it's crazy.
It's like just go play the United Cup, you'll get lots.
Right. Make the team.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What were you
next vibe?
Yeah,
Are we on the? We want to talk about the Canadians and the Americans.
let's do it. What's the American vibe at the Australian Open right now, JP, from your perspective?
Kind of two separate vibes
Okay.
for between the women and the men. The
Mhm.
women, the people that we expect to win, have won. I would say tough for Sloane Stevens to get matched up with Sabalenka in the first round, but Pagula took care of business. Danielle Collins, she took care of business. Caroline Dolehide took care of business. Coco took care of business. And then unfortunately, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. So right now we are sitting at 4 and 5. Actually, I had this written down wrong, but we're 4 and 5 on the women's side. And on the men's side, the boys are cooking. Tiafo
Mhm.
obviously had a tougher time in his first game, but this is what we expect from Francis. He can start out a little slow. He'll get healthy. We saw
Yeah.
he was getting sick. We've seen the comparisons. Y'all have seen the comparisons on Twitter. It's Michael Jordan, man. Same photo, both wearing red, hands on their knees. And then it probably will end the same way if I had to guess. Not really because I didn't pick Tiafo, but maybe Tiafo wins Australian Open flew Tiafo.
Yeah,
But
could happen.
Tiafo won.
Tommy Paul
Mickelson,
had a tough
obviously
time as
huge
well.
one. What's that?
Tommy Paul had a 5-setter as well, I believe.
Against Chris O'Connell, yeah.
Crazy.
Which the Australians, as I was looking through all the US guys, the Australians are doing pretty well too. They're
Mhm.
all kind of showing out. But the only American man to lose so far is Basaveretti.
Yeah.
So, and he had to play Djokovic. So we're
Yeah, what
feeling
a
good over here. How are y'all feeling over there?
well, in Canada here, let me just put this up there for a second. Boom,
Oh
little
my gosh,
flag like that. We had it set up there.
that's
Um,
crazy.
I'm feeling good. I mean, main draw, we don't have that many players, to be fair. So we have Rebecca Marino, we have Leylah Fernandez on the women's, and then we have on the men, we have Felix Dennis and Gabe Diallo. Gabriel Diallo is playing right now. Felix won. Fernandez won. So yeah, we're 2 for 2 right now. Rebecca Marino, I believe, is playing Katie Bolter, so that's a tough match
Tough.
for her. But Rebecca Marino's big, and she has a huge serve and big game, so she's someone who can be dangerous on these fast Australian hard courts. So, and she plays, a little bit like less to lose than Katie Bolter probably. Gabe Diallo's playing Luca Nardi right now, so Luca Nardi, is a good player, but I feel like Gabe Diallo has beaten a lot of higher ranked players than him even. So he can win that, and then if Chapo can get his done, who's Shapovalov playing again?
He is playing
Oh,
against
Roberto Batista Ugu. I got that.
dude. I swear he always plays him in the first round.
Yeah, wait, did they play?
I'm gonna look that
Oh
up
yeah,
actually.
no, they didn't. Yeah, I mean, that does seem like a name where I've seen them play a lot before. Yeah, they actually played in Basel in the round of 16, just at the end of last year, and Felix won, or Dennis won that, which was great. Um, but yeah, the if all the Canadian guys can get through, if all 5 Canadians can win the first round, that would be a great thing for Canada because there's been a few times in the last bit where I think it was like maybe the US Open where all of the Canadians lost in the first round. It was
Right.
like rough, and that was like 6. So that was tough. So we're doing one better than that, but there's been a lot where it's like we've all lost in the second round as well. So, yeah, no, we're feeling good so far over here. We're feeling good.
Yeah, I feel like let's see, I'm looking it up right now. Chapo. Oh wow, they've only played 3 times according to Chat GPT. Chapo is 3-0.
Let's
So
go.
that's good.
That is good. That's very good. So we'll see if he can keep that up. Yeah, but no, I'm feeling it from that. I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this, but in the first round, there's like a zillion matches between compatriots, like Americans that
Right.
play Americans, Italians, French. Um, so that sucks for the countries. I feel like at the majors, countries get so or it gets so like country orientated. Like people are like, I'm
Right.
cheering for this guy, but I'm also cheering for all the Americans because I'm American or whatever. So
Exactly. I would love to be in the matchmaking room. Like how do they choose who to put up against who? And is it like
in the
do
first
we
round,
yeah.
Well, it's totally random.
That's what I'm saying. But like, I feel like they could do a better job of being like more intentional with some of these matchups.
Like, so not making it random.
Not like, yeah, I mean, I understand, but like, I'm just thinking from an entertainment standpoint, it's like there are some matches that if they can happen, you need to make happen
Oh
for the
yeah.
sport.
Like one of them would have been Kyrgios playing center for the
Exactly.
first round.
And they didn't even have a chance, like, because he's on the other side. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it would help the product if there was some sort of like matchmaking. It's tough because I don't know the exact solution. I see the problem with it all, but like we're leaving a lot of things out there by not like being more
Well,
intentional.
I mean, this is how tennis does it. We don't want to ever change anything to make to make to grow the game or do anything like that. And the things we do want to change, everyone hates, like making the Masters 2 weeks. Like
Right.
no one asked for this. They're like, hey, we're gonna do this. But yeah, no, that is funny. What's your thoughts on the Kyrgios match? Him talking all this smack before the tournament, talking. He literally, the deliverer of the most headlines before the event goes out in straight sets to a challenger player, as he said during the match.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough to see because I was hoping that he would make a run, but I know it's gonna sound like an excuse, but I do have a feeling that when he comes out and they say he has that grade 1 abdominal tear, that he wasn't 100% going in, and he did decide to play because the fans were hype about it.
Yeah.
And I bet he wasn't feeling like as good as he hoped to have going into it all.
Yeah.
So I do give him the benefit of the doubt there. I was bummed to hear his the post-match press conference of like flirting with the like, yeah, this might be the last time I'm playing here. I'm like, dude, even if that's true, like just wait to say that till like the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I do respect him playing and finishing the match, which he said he kind of did because he knows he kind of gets that a lot of people, save their money. They're like coming there to see him. So like, why don't you just finish it out? Which he did, which I respect. But yeah, it's kind of people definitely wanted to see a big match with him at a top level. But as I talked about in the show earlier today, you just can't expect to come back from injury and be able to play physically. Right. You just have to play matches to get your body like match ready. There's kind of no way about it. And you always see that when guys come back from injury, they just get injured again quickly. And it's like a vicious cycle because how do you ever get that experience if you just keep.
Dude.
But his body's also, it's like he's not one of the more flexible guys. Like he's thick.
Right.
Like he's like definitely probably is not as intentional with his body as a lot of the other players, if we're just being honest. Like everyone says they're training hard. Like what does that mean?
Right. And he plays like violently. Like
yeah. The torque he puts on his body, mainly the serve, the ab hurts the most on the serve.
Right.
Is what they say. So his serve, and he leverages his whole body in that quick motion with his shoulder to serve it. And that's why he always has shoulder issues too. Because some guys like throw it like a beautiful kind of like, and it's not as hard or as made. Like he is one of the best serves of all time. And because of that, his body breaks down. But
yeah, dude, what do we think? I don't know. Do you have anything more on Kyrgios?
No.
I'm telling you, I was watching some of Opelka's match.
Yeah.
That man moving around out there.
Dude, yeah. He's scary. Wait, which yeah, because he did win. He won against Onklin.
Yeah, and dude, he had this one point where he legit like the dude, I guess the guy hit like a cross-court forehand. Riley went down, chased it down, took off back across the court, and then hit a backhand winner like on the run. And I'm like, this is new. This is new from Riley, and nobody would definitely want to see him in the tournament.
No, yeah, he plays Machak next. Tomas Machak, who's the 26th seed, and I was like, on Betway responsibly, like I would look at that one because I'm sure Opelka's the underdog there, but I don't think he's much of an underdog on these courts, but he still would be for sure because he's coming out from injury. But reminder, he did say that the hip surgery, it seems to allow him to have a bigger range of motion and be like have better movement essentially. So it's like, everyone's against performance enhancing drugs. What about performance enhancing surgeries?
Fair point, Stephen. Is Riley Opelka about to get hit with an 18-month suspension?
Well, that's the funny. Essentially every surgery is performance enhancing because you're probably limited by whatever injury you have.
The Conor
Um,
McGregor titanium shin bone.
yeah, cheapers. No, yeah. So I mean, there's so much to talk about. There's so much energy from the Australian Open. I'm tired already, but I'm ready now. Like literally, the matches have started. Gabriel Diallo is playing Luca Nardi right now, so I'm about right after we hang up here. I'm gonna go just start watching tennis again. And tonight is or today, if you're in Australia, or tonight in North America is when they're gonna finish the first round. So we're still at the very tippy top of the tournament, and yeah, we got lots ahead of us, don't we?
I love it. Yep. And yeah, we can probably go ahead, wrap it up. A quick PSA to everybody watching. Someone to keep an eye on, Amanda Anisimova. She's now brunette. Keep an eye on her. When people change their hair up, they get a new juice, a new confidence to them. She's playing right now. She's up a break in the first set.
Yeah,
Maybe she makes a run. We know she's talented, but just to put that on the radar.
that's right. 23 years old, brunette. I wouldn't even recognize her. That's pretty crazy. That's a good pick there, JP.
Yes, sir. But that's all I got, Steven. You good?
I'm good. That's all I got. Quick vibe check of the Australian Open. The vibes are high. I'm excited for the rest of this week, and we will check in JP next week on the podcast coming out Tuesday. It'll be like quarterfinals are set probably or around then. So, we'll definitely have a lot to check in with our power rankings and who we picked and if they're still around. I'm guessing that someone in the 10 players that we picked on the men and women is gonna be out, and I'm interested to see who it is.
Might be Sinner, but we'll see.
It could be. He's been asked a lot about the doping thing. It's like it literally looks like a guy who's awaiting he literally is awaiting his sentence, but
I know.
Not a fun place to be.
He'll get through it. But thanks everybody for watching. Please make sure to subscribe. We see you guys. People have been subscribing recently. That number has been ticking up. So we appreciate you big time. Leave the comments as well. And we will see you guys next week.
See ya.